let's cook something really good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm really craving something sweet and gooey.
Yeah, I love sweet stuff. So, Emily, we have visitors.
What? Who?
My audience has joined us.
Yay, audience.
Welcome to Mr. Steve's Kitchen. My name is Steve Smith. I'm a middle school English teacher, and I love to cook in my spare time. Joining me today is my friend, Emily.
Hello.
So we are going to cook today, and we were just discussing what we're going to cook together. So, Emily, what ideas do you have?
I don't know. What about some cinnamon rolls?
Ooh, remember when I made cinnamon rolls a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I was super jealous that I could eat them.
I know you were. So to make cinnamon rolls, I'm going to need my mixer. Emily, did you see that?
Like magic.
My mixer just randomly appeared. I wonder if it works with the ingredients. How about we
Let's see.
Flour. Goodness. Sugar. Oh, Emily, this is crazy. Salt, yeast, milk, water, butter, egg.
It's the fastest.
Look at that. Okay, so to make our cinnamon rolls, Emily, do you have flour?
I do.
You should have 2 3/4 cups of flour or 345 grams.
Check.
You should have 1/4 cup of sugar or 50 grams.
Check.
A teaspoon of salt.
I put that in the sugar.
That works. A packet of yeast.
Check. Like gold.
Half a cup of milk.
I have it.
A 1/4 cup of water.
I have a 1/4 cup, and I will get the water when it's time.
3 tablespoons of butter.
Check.
And 1 huevo, 1 egg.
The incredible edible egg.
There you go. Awesome. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get our butter, milk, and water into a saucepan. And we want to bring that, we do not want it to boil. We just want the milk to warm to the point that it melts the butter. So let's get that 3 tablespoons of butter in our milk.
Alternatively, you could use the microwave like I'm going to do.
That's an option as well. If you have your ingredients, your milk, and your butter and water at room temperature, it shouldn't take very long for it to melt. So we'll just get that going. I'm going to put that on low heat.
I'm going to go like 30 seconds at a time.
Do it. All right, while we're waiting for our butter and milk to come to a warm temperature, which is about 110 degrees to activate the yeast. Remember, when you're working with yeast, if you don't get your water high enough, the yeast will not activate, and if you it's it'll kill the yeast. So you want to make sure you get it about 110 to 115 degrees. So we're just gonna let that go, and then while we're doing that, we're gonna combine all of our dry ingredients. I'm gonna take off the hook for a second. We're gonna combine all the dry ingredients into our mixer bowl. So I've got a sift heat. I'm gonna sift in the flour first.
Ditto.
And then going in with the sugar, salt,
Mine is a sugar-salt combo.
and the yeast.
Gonna fly everything.
Sift all of that into the bowl. And the reason why we sift is because we don't want any big chunks of anything. So like I have in the bottom of my sift some of the granulated sugar, and we don't want that in there. So we've got all the ingredients here. Did I put it back on? All right, so I've got my butter melted. They're a little bit above temp, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour them into a measuring cup. That will allow it to cool a little quicker than sitting in this warm pan. And when that gets to 110 degrees, we'll get started. All right, while we are waiting on the temperature to come down on our milk and egg mixture, I'm gonna go ahead and get our egg ready. Remember, we always crack our egg into another dish so that if we do get any shells or anything, we can dig them out. We don't just have to mix them in with the flour. Emily's modeling that for us.
As seen here.
So we have our egg ready. And as soon as this comes down, we'll get started. We have our milk and butter mixture. It's at about 115 degrees. So anywhere, like I said, 110 to 115. And you want to just pour that in. Go ahead and get your dough mixer going on low, just to move the dry ingredients around. And then slowly pour in your milk and butter mixture.
I'll be moving to my mixer.
You're just going to let that come together. And once that comes together, go ahead and drop that egg in there. And then we will just let this mix until all separates. All right, you might have to stop and scrape the sides down. If you notice that your dough is a little bit stickier than it should be, meaning that it does this when you pull it out, you want to add just a little bit of flour, not much, but just a little tiny bit of flour. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to add about 1/8 of a cup of flour and just see what that takes us. Okay, our dough is coming together. It has taken about 10 minutes of mix time to get it to where it needs to be. Just remember, based on your humidity, it's super humid here in Oklahoma City today. And so I had to add about 1/2 cup more flour. Emily's came together perfectly. I think she added like a tablespoon of flour. Is that right?
And I've been waiting like an extra 5 minutes for yours to come together. So, and I'm in San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay, so it has all come together. At this point, you have two options. Number one, you can turn this dough out onto a floured surface and you can knead it by hand for 3 minutes. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it, I'm going to knead in the dough. So I'm going to let it continue. I'm going to turn it down to 1 to let it knead. And then I'm just going to stand here and I'm going to go, I need you. I need you.
And I'm going to be doing that right off camera.
I need you to come together. So we'll let this knead for about 3 minutes, and then we'll get started rolling it out. As we finish kneading our dough, now it's time to take it out. You should have a big lump of dough that looks something like this. You're going to need a clean bowl that has either been rubbed down with like or vegetable oil, or you can take your nonstick spray and just go around the inside of that bowl. Just finish this can of spray. Gotta get another. All right, so you're gonna pull your dough off the dough hook. Again, your dough should not be sticky at this point. If you do have any that has stuck to the bottom, go ahead and just pull that out. You can use a scraper to get it out of the bottom. And then you want to add whatever you pull out of the mix to the dough that you have in your hand. And then just form this into a ball. See how it's not sticking? It shouldn't be sticking. Just form this into a ball. And then just stick this in this lined pan. Give it a couple of rolls around inside of there so you grease your dough so it doesn't stick to the bowl as it rises. And then just cover that with a towel and let it sit off to the side while you work on your filling ingredients. So let's start on our filling. Emily, are you ready for filling?
I'm ready for filling.
Awesome. The first thing we need to do is I need to get rid of my stand mixer. I wonder if my magic will work. Stand mixer, go away. It's gone.
Amazing.
I wonder where it went.
Like magic.
It's probably like floating in the ocean someplace now. Actually, I guess it would sink because it's super heavy.
That would be
The
tragic.
next thing we're going to need is some cinnamon, some sugar, and some butter.
Cinnamon, brown sugar, and butter.
Again, we've got a tablespoon of cinnamon, we've got a quarter cup of brown sugar, and then we're going to use 1/3 of 3 tablespoons of butter. And so in a bowl, typically when you're making cinnamon rolls, what the instructions tell you to do is to spread the butter on top of the dough and then sprinkle the ingredients. But what I like to do, because I'm fancy, is take the butter, the cinnamon, and the sugar, and just cream them together using a fork. So just get that mixture all worked in.
Fact, Steve is fancy.
It is true. It is true. I don't deny it.
But look how it enriches all of our lives.
Right? It'll take a second for this butter mixture to come together because you want to get it all creamed really nicely. So be patient with it. You shouldn't have any loose particles in there. It should all come together as one big chunk of creamy goodness, just like that. All right. Now, what we're going to do is get rid of all of the stuff on our workspace. We're going to bring our dough back over, and then we're going to flour our workspace.
Here's the workspace.
And what you want to do is try to take your flour out to about 13 by 11 inches, because that's about what you want to roll this out to. So I have about a 13 by 11 square or rectangle on top of. What's your question?
Do I need a rolling pin for this? Because I have one.
You do need a rolling pin for this.
Woot!
Like this. All right. So now you're going to take your dough, move everything out of the way because you want to get this flat first. Take your dough, pop it out into the center, kind of spread it out, and then get some flour on your rolling pin so it doesn't stick. And then you're just going to roll until it's about a 13-inch by 11-inch rectangle. That's going to take a second. Be patient. Don't force it. It's dough, so it's going to shrink back up a little bit. So just keep working it until you get into that rectangle. Remember, you're not doing a circle, so make sure that you run outward to get the length more than you go side to side. Otherwise, you'll end up with a circle.
I'm slightly behind.
Try rolling from the inside out rather than from the, all the way across, you know?
Yes.
And then when you get it out to an acceptable size, go ahead and pull, because you want it to be a rectangle. So you can pull those corners out. Just try not to break the dough.
Don't break the dough. Check.
Don't break the dough. Now that we have our dough out in some form of a rectangle, we're going to bring in our sugar, cinnamon, and butter mixture. And with a spatula, just plop that out in the center. Get all of it out of there. And then you're going to spread this all the way to the edges. So just go all the way out. And you should have enough here. It's going to seem like you're going to be like, oh no, it's too thin. But it's not too thin because this butter and cinnamon mixture is really rich and thick. And so it will work out just fine. So get that all spread out and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, our mixture of butter, sugar, and cinnamon should be out to the edge now. It should look something like this. Just a fun fact reminder kind of ish. I started off with a spatula. I switched to a spoon, and the reason why I switched to a spoon is because you can use the edge of the spoon to really reach the edges without dragging your spatula, because the spatula was picking up a lot of that mixture. So spoon is the tool to use, right, Emily?
Correct. I discovered the same thing.
So now what we have is what you would do for traditional cinnamon rolls. You would roll this up, cut it, let it rise. But because Mr. Steve is fancy, I have some pecans. The way that I'm going to do this is I'm just going to open this here little container. And I'm using pecan bits. Emily is using pecan pieces. The difference is mine is like pecan sand, really. And you can see as I pour it out, it really like just touches every piece of that. So every bite is going to have pecans. You can use whatever size pecans you want. I choose to do this because I like the texture of the smaller pecans. And just, I'm using the whole bag, which this bag is a half of a cup.
And I had a half a cup of pieces pre-measured, but I don't have enough to cover all of my cinnamon mixture, so I'm adding more.
You know what? Who's in control of this? You
I
are.
am.
If you want more cinnamon and sugar on it, do it. If you want more nuts, do it. If you want something other than pecans, maybe you want almonds in it. I don't know. Maybe you want to go crazy, put some pistachios in it. I don't know.
What about chocolate chips?
You might do some chocolate chips. I'm not going to do those, though.
Me neither, but it was a good idea.
Now, at this point, kind of pull your edges in just a hair to make them a little bit straight. Because like mine got a little bowed as I was spreading out the mixture. So you want them to be straight because as we roll this, we're going to come in from the side and roll it. And you want it to be uniform. You don't want any edges sticking out looking all crazy. And so there are two ways you can do this. Number one, I could stand here and I could roll this way, and that's going to create a long log. And I'm going to cut that. I'm probably going to get about 12 cinnamon rolls out of it. What I'm going to do is I want bigger cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to come from the side and I'm going to roll across this way. That's going to give me more swirls. It's also going to give me bigger cinnamon rolls. So at this point, you just take your fingers and just start to lift and roll all the way across. And then once you get it started, you can just roll that all the way. Try not to leave any edges behind. Just keep rolling. Keep rolling.
I can really feel the pecans getting rolled into there.
Yeah. All right. Now, you should have some sort of roll like this. I'm pushing it in on the sides. Again, I don't want any crazy edges, so I'm trying to get it uniform size. You want to make sure that it's all the same size. And then I'm going to use my dough cutter to cut this into the rolls that I want.
What if I don't have a dough cutter? Can I use a serrated?
If you don't have a dough cutter, I would not use a serrated knife because when you pull, it's going to pull that stuff across with it. I would just get a sharp knife and just put it on the edge and just go straight down.
Got it.
Okay. So what I do before I cut my rolls is I do just small indentions to see that they're uniform. So I'm going to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gives me 6 rolls. If you rolled it the other way, you can mark it for 12, but I marked it for 6. Emily, how many are you doing?
So I rolled it the same direction as you. You only put 6 in that length. How wide do you make each one?
So it's probably 2 inches wide.
Okay, got it.
And then I go back to my markings, and I'm going to kind of hold the side for a little bit of integrity because you don't want it to completely give. And then just go all the way down and cut those rolls.
I'm rolling mine onto this cutting board because I don't want to cut my countertop.
That works. You can see that I have 6 cinnamon rolls, and this is what the inside looks like. Yummy. Emily, while you cut yours, I'm going to grab my dish. All right. I have all of my cinnamon rolls here. I'm going to make some space by moving this flour out of the way. And I'm going to put my dish right here. And you want to grease this. So you can rub butter in it and sprinkle with a little bit of flour. You can do a nonstick spray. That's what I'm going to do. So just coat the entire pan. And then place them in. So I've got this little guy I'm going to put in the center. And I'm going to put him by all of his big friends. And now doing 6 rolls versus doing 12 rolls. 12 rolls in this 9x5 pie dish, they're going to be bunched together. These are going to have space between them, but here's the deal. We're going to let them rise for an hour. And so we're going to need some saran wrap and a towel. All right, so I'm going to take some saran wrap. So get your saran wrap, Emily.
Will press and seal work?
It will. And just lay that across the top. So then you're going to take your towel that you used earlier, fold it in half, and put that over the top of it. The reason why you're folding it in half is you're giving it more insulation to hold that heat in there while it rises. And then just put this someplace that is a little bit warm, not hot. You don't want it to cook. You want it warm and out of the draft. So take it off to the side and let it rise for an hour. And we will see you in an hour when they have risen. When you're dealing with proofing dough, sometimes it doesn't turn out, like for instance, I said we're going to let it proof for an hour. Emily and I discovered that for whatever reason, maybe our houses are too cold, but it didn't proof and didn't expand as much as it should. So we turned our oven on to about 200, let it go for 5 minutes, shut it off, and then put our rolls back in there for about 10, 15 minutes.
With the oven off.
With the oven off. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, with the oven off, because that will give you that warm environment without cooking it. And so now both of our rolls have doubled in size. Mine is huge. We haven't seen each other's, so we're about to do the reveal. So you'll see them at the same time we're seeing them. And so I have mine here, and I'm going to tilt it up a little bit so you can see it when I move this.
I'll tilt mine too.
Because these are huge.
Woohoo!
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
You ready to see mine? Here we go.
I'm ready. Let's see them.
Boom.
Oh.
Look at that. Yes.
They smell so good.
They do. Well, I can't smell mine actually because I have this wrap underneath it. Okay, so
I took the wrap off.
I'm going to take the wrap off. Oh my gosh, they do smell amazing. And then on top of that, I'm going to add some pecans on top, but we're going to do that 10 minutes before they're finished in the oven. So at this point, 375, these go in for 24 to 28 minutes. We'll start checking at 24 to see if they're browned. If you notice that they're browning faster than the 28 minutes, then just throw a sheet of aluminum foil on top, and that will keep them from browning, but allow the inside to cook, because the last thing you want is a gooey inside when it's raw dough. Okay, so these go to the oven, 375 for 28 minutes. And we will see you in 18 minutes because we need to put our pecans. So we'll see you in a second. Okay, so we are back. It is time to take our rolls out of the oven and add some pecans. We lost Emily due to some technical difficulties. Her building in San Francisco, California lost power. So she's not able to join us for this piece. She might come back in a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and grab these out of the oven. And here we are. I'm going to put these nuts just right on top. I want them to roast They're going to be a little bit loose. They're not going to be in the dough or anything, and that's okay. When we put the icing on at the end, it will all like hold together. But I just want these pecans to get a nice roast on them these last few minutes in the oven. So now these go back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Okay, while those are cooking for this last 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and make our icing. And so I wonder if my magic still works without Emily here. I need a bowl. Look at that. So I need milk, vanilla, and powdered sugar. Look at that. Okay, so to this bowl, I've got 1 cup of powdered sugar. I'm gonna pour that in there. And then to that, we're going to add half a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So half a teaspoon, a little bit more, just a zhuzh for good measure, right? And then for this milk, what we want to do is pour in about half of it and then work it down. And we may need more because it's like between 2 and 3 tablespoons. So I'm gonna do about half. Put that right there so it doesn't drip everywhere. And then let's just get this mixed up a little bit. Now I have kind of a thick what's it called? Icing. I have a thick icing here. And so I want it to be, you know what? I feel like that is exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to leave it just like that. I'm not going to add the extra tablespoon of milk in. And so this will be what we glaze with, and we will be doing that in about 8 minutes. So I'll see you then. Okay, it's time. We need to pull them out of the oven. It has been 28 minutes, and these look amazing. All right. So here we have our, I'm going to come closer to the camera so you can see this. Check. Ooh. Oh, I'm losing nuts off the top of it.
I did not put nuts on at that 10-minute mark
That's
because
fine.
mine were already roasted.
That's fine. You were out of power. It's all good.
Yeah, and my power was out.
Now we're going to
So I
take
didn't want to.
our glaze, and we're just going to pour it over the entire pan. And just get all of that glaze out of there. It's at this point when, if you don't have a small whisk like I'm using, you might want to get a spatula to get all of the goodness out of there.
Don't leave the goodness behind.
Don't leave the goodness. I'm actually
No goodness.
a spatula.
I think it's good.
Come through and get all of that out and spread that on the places that maybe it didn't touch before, so you can get that glaze all across.
The smell is unbelievable.
Isn't it though? All right. There we go. And there you have it. So this needs to rest for about 10 minutes before you dig in, because if you dig in right now, it's going to be, and a lot of the, since it hasn't rested, a lot of that, the gooiness might tear, and you know the reasons. Let's let it rest for 10 minutes. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Now that this piece of art has rested for about 10 minutes, it is time to dig in and taste our masterpiece. So using a butter knife, you want to just kind of go along the edge of one of the rolls and just make your way around it. Loosen it up. And come in from underneath and pop it out. And then just take that whole thing and pop it on your plate.
Ooh.
And it should look just like this. Is our wonderful cinnamon roll. And now,
Beautiful and amazing.
I love it. It looks glorious. I need to take a picture of this before I bite into it. So hold, please. All right. Pictures are taken. It's time to taste this. Emily, are you ready to taste this?
I am so ready to taste this thing.
All right. So the way that we do it is we use a fork, or do we just go with our hands?
I'm using a fork because if I use my hands, it'll just end up down the front of me. But you can do whatever you want.
Here we go. So the way that we do cinnamon rolls is you tear from the outside, right? And just take a chunk of that. Oh, it's so hot. Okay.
Well, mine's cold.
Side all covered with cinnamon. Here we go.
Mm.
Glorious. Chewy, full of cinnamon, sugar. That the nuts inside and on top just add to it. Fantastic breakfast, snack, dessert, whatever. I hope you make this. I hope you enjoy it. Emily, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
All my viewers, don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Let me know how much you care. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.